Checking in, Mr. Osmond?
Oh, yeah. I must say, it's going to be great to stay at this awesome hotel. Did you know I've been saving all year for this one single night?
Well, that's great. How will you be paying, sir?
Okay, I've got it all figured out. This card has $3 left over from Target. This card has, I think, $1.75 left on it. My grandmother gave it to me back in 1987. And this card here, I really don't know how much is on it. But I got a better opportunity for you. You see this Starbucks gift card? It's all yours if you give me an upgrade.
Do you live, eat, and sleep the hotel industry? Looking to brush up on your game? You've come to the right place. Welcome to No Vacancy, the hospitality industry's #1 podcast, with your host, Glenn Hausman.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to the No Vacancy Podcast with me, Glenn Hausman. I am so psyched to have you here today. Hope everyone had a great holiday week here. If you're listening in the United States, we had the great Independence Day celebration, and I am really excited. You know, I feel refreshed, I feel relaxed, I feel good to go, and oddly enough, I haven't been traveling all weekend, although if you listened to last week's show, you knew I was at the Montauk Yacht Club all the way out in eastern Long Island, at the end, as they call it, and I'm happy to be back here in my home studio today, and especially happy that there's nobody in my house anymore. Too much entertaining, too much going on, too much smoking ribs here at my house. I want to introduce Mr. Jeff Polly. You know him as our producer, and he's here to be my co-host today. How are you doing there, Jeff?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good. Recovering from 4th of July fireworks craziness out in California.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Did you see any actual fireworks, or has the state of California pretty much blocked everything at this point that's fun and enjoyable in life?
You would think that, but right on the coast there, you saw all kinds of fireworks, and my dogs were not really happy about it for a couple of days, but nothing a few doggy Xanax won't cure.
I like that, and maybe after the call, you can tell me how to get some doggy Xanax for me. I'd love that. But yeah, one of the things about California is they really seem to have legislated a lot of the fun out of going to the beach. That's for sure. But you can't drink on the beach anymore. You can't have a bonfire on the beach anymore. You can't smoke on the beach anymore. You can't really have dogs off the leash on the beach anymore. So that doesn't sound like a lot of fun, but I will say here on the other coast, out here in my backyard, we had a great time, real relaxing July 4th celebration. I didn't actually get to see any fireworks, but I sure heard them all around me all weekend long. People seem to have gotten a early start with those guys going on.
You left that pretty open-ended.
Yeah, I know. Well, I try to do that, Jeff, because when I have nothing to say, I figure the other person's going to be able to pick up on it.
You wanted me to interject. You're the host of the show, Glenn. You're supposed to do that.
But it is exhausting having to think of things to say. So let me say this. Be sure to read the stuff that I put up in hotelmanagement.net and follow me at Traveling Glenn, and you'll be notified when new shows are posted on Instagram there and the Twitter. Also, be sure I'll be over at the Greater Business Travel Association meeting next week shooting stuff for Here to Stay TV, which you can find right now on YouTube at Bridge Street Global Hospitality soon. Here to Stay.tv will be up and live. And be sure to check out Kevin Barry Fine Art at kevinbarryfineart.com for all of your art needs in hotels, big public displays, everything that you want, even down to little images to put in your room. Those guys are cool. Those guys are a lot of fun. And I want to make sure that you buy from them and help me support them and support the show in terms of what we're doing over here. So, Jeff, one of the things that I found this week is our president was overseas this week at the big G20 summit and seems to have not been able to found a hotel room over there. Someone forgot to book it, which is a darn shame. That seems a pretty foolish thing to forget.
I think CNN reported that they tried to book it on a website and that fell through or something. Is that what happened?
I don't know. My understanding is if CNN does it, it's completely fake news. So I don't know. I don't know at this point. I will say, Mr. Trump, if you are planning on booking a hotel, we've got a list for you of the most expensive hotels in the world today. ones that will live up to the commander-in-chief's hopefully style. I'm not sure any of them are Trump-branded properties. That's not necessarily on purpose, not necessarily not on purpose. It just is what it is. Jeff, tell us a little bit about this list.
I think it's a perfect reference tool for anyone that's working at the White House next time they have to go to a G7 or G20. They can use this list in advance. So they beat out pretty much every other country that's attending in booking these nice hotels for whatever city they're going to be in.
Right, and if that doesn't work, now that I'm working on the You Must Be Trippin' site with Best Western, Mr. Trump, maybe stay at a Best Western. You can earn a lot of rewards points, and the more you travel, the more you can stay for free. So that's my recommendation. That's the way to make America great again. Stop spending taxpayer monies on that and earn those reward points and cash them in for valuable hotel stays. Next time you're trying to make decisions that the entire world will be responsible to live through.
Well, number one on the list, I know President Trump already has plenty of places to stay in New York, but not all of us do. And, I myself am, have been known to be kind of a cheapskate, but in all honesty, in my aged years that I've been growing into, I kind of get spoiled. And, with clients putting me up in nice places, I do like to stay in a nice hotel. So in New York, number one on the list is the Grand Penthouse at the Mark Hotel in New York. And at the Grand, it's designed by Jacques Grange and situated over the top two floors of the Mark Hotel in New York's Upper East Side, which, again, when I go to New York, I don't really spend a whole lot of time in the Upper East Side, but that's probably because I can't afford it.
Well, you should have known me back in the late 1990s when I lived at 90th and 3rd. Then you would have seen it plenty. It was not the same as it is now, and this hotel's charging $100,000 a night. I think my rent was $1,200 a month. I'm going to guess this penthouse suite's a little bit nicer than my apartment was.
Probably a little bit nicer. Maybe actually has stairs inside the apartment, not just how many walk-ups did you have going?
I was actually on the second floor. So I really lucked out. And it was an elevator building, if you can believe that. Which I never took because, I was on the second floor, so I didn't want to be that. I don't want to be that jerk that got on and then got off 2 seconds later. I never understand why people have to get off the elevator at the second floor. Can't you just walk the one flight? Why are you causing everybody else trouble? I'm on the 37th floor. I don't want to have to wait for you. But do some good for your body. Make it happen. Don't take up all my time. Don't take up all my space. But make sure was that?
That's a very Seinfeld moment you just had there.
Well, I am a New York Jew, so what are you going to do? I'm going to a diner as soon as this is over as well to meet with my friend George, coincidentally. So there you go. All right, so one of the cool things about this hotel is Chef Jean-Georges will create a menu for you, and I love that guy's food, although I can't afford his food, which will go along with the room that I can't afford. What's next there, Jeff?
Next is if you're traveling to Geneva, which, lots of political meetings and occurrences happen in Geneva. I think the G7 was there a couple of years ago. But, hey, this place has hosted Bill Gates, Rihanna, Bill Clinton, Michael Jackson, Michael Douglas, and they all enjoyed the security of bulletproof glass and outstanding panoramic views of Lake Geneva. And this is the Royal Penthouse Suite at the Hotel President Wilson in Geneva.
That's really nice. And I'm looking at this great picture here. They've got a Steinway piano in there, which is a pretty awesome amenity to have as in a room there.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome, and I would say it's $60,000 plus a night. It's worth it. Couple extra mortgages on the house, I might get 1.5 night stay.
Yeah, too bad they don't do it by the hour, because then we might be able to. Reminds me of that old Chris Rock bit from, I think it was from the movie I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker. Do you remember that movie where he walks into McDonald's and he's like, how much for a 6-piece chicken McNugget? And he's like, How about just one nugget? Can I buy just one?
You think they'd book it out for like, I don't know, 7.5 minutes?
Yeah, that would be great. And I don't want to have to put an adult rating on here, but that's all the time I would need.
Dibs on jumping on the bed.
Yeah.
Dibs. And I can play a mean Motley Crue Home Sweet Home on that piano.
That's pretty cool. That I would definitely want to see. That is definitely viral video worthy, and we're going to have to be sure to make that happen. So, folks at the Hotel President Wilson Geneva, give us a call, fly us over, have us stay in the room for 7.5 minutes. We'll jump on the bed, we'll play some music on the piano, and then we'll get the heck out of there.
All right, moving on. Back to New York. Who would have figured that most of these, a lot of these on the list would be in New York? But
right.
Hey, the Ty Warner penthouse at the Four Seasons Hotel in New York. I've stayed at that Four Seasons. I've never stayed at the Ty Warner penthouse, but yeah, it's 52 stories high, 700 feet off the ground. This opulently styled suite makes most of the skyline with floor-to-ceiling windows and glass balconies. No expense has been spared, styling the interior with artesian materials, including Venetian velvet and Chinese onyx.
Yeah, and you're not going to believe this, Jeff, but I have a story in regards to these particular suites that were built at the top of the top of it. I was a PR guy for a little while there in the early 2000s. I think it was 2002, 2003, somewhere along that lines. Right after my kids were born. I'm trying to do the math back now that they're 13 years old. But I was
quit lying. It was like 1982.
I was actually part of the PR company that launched these suites. So I got to watch them build these suites, not over the entire 7 years, and really experience what that was like. They, though they're charging $60,000 a night, they were $25,000 a night when they first debuted. And what was fabulous about them is how IMPay really came out of retirement in order to add new floors to the building in order to make this work. They weren't there before. They created them out of whole cloth. And Ty Warner is such a freaking nut. I don't know if you guys know Ty Warner. He is the magnate behind what are those Beanie Babies, right? That giant Beanie Baby
Wow.
craze made a gajillion dollars. Then got into buying hotels as an ego play, as a lot of super wealthy, rich guys would do. Built this. They would design out the whole suite, drop a gajillion dollars on it, then go, I don't like it, and they'd have to do it again. That's why it took 7 years. Not because of any strange construction techniques, but because he kept changing his mind. That being said, he changed the suite more often than he would change his sport coat that he wore. He always wore the same sport coat every single day. So little Ty Warner trivia for you there.
Well, that's funny because I have a little Beanie Baby trivia, and it's crazy. If you guys have Beanie Babies, you got to check out their value because literally on my move to Colorado, from Colorado to California, we found a couple of my wife's old Beanie Babies, and they were worth tons of money. And it's crazy, and we sold them. It was great.
And you made cash off of them for real?
Yeah. There's like Beanie Baby appraisers online, and you can send your Beanie Baby off to get it appraised and then put it online and sell it. And yeah, we made, a decent little bit on some stupid Beanie Babies still.
All right.
To this day.
That's pretty freaking awesome. So if anybody wants to buy from me, I've got an original bicentennial Disney-related twin sheet over here still in its original wrapping. If you like Beanie Babies, you're sure to love this sheet. Give me a call, drop me a line at Traveling Glenn, and we'll make ourselves a deal. I put it up on eBay. Nobody was interested, but I know my listening audience out there would be. I've got a whole bunch of junk. I wish it was worth what those Beanie Babies were worth. Now you're making me sad. You're making me jealous. You're making me want to go away. How about going to Fiji, Jeff?
Yeah, man. Let's go to the Pacific and the Delana Hilltop Estate. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. Lucala. I can't do it. You can look it up online.
How about Locala?
Yeah, sure. That sounds good.
Yep.
So yeah, this estate, you don't need an invite to stay at the top of this island nest, but you will need a proving to be willing to pay, I don't know, $55,000 a night for a minimum stay of 4 nights to stay at this place. The whole island was purchased by the Red Bull co-founder.
Yeah.
And he purchased it from Forbes Media Estate and to create this crazy, insane resort island getaway. So yeah, that's the next one on the list. Never been to Fiji, but if I was going to go, I'd, be okay with dropping, I don't know, $220,000 for a minimum stay on that resort.
Wow. Well, at least it comes with, a swimming pool. So you got that going for you. Because where else are you going to get a chance to go swimming? But it also comes with a private cook show for Nanny and the chance to scuba dive, hike, or ride horses, which is always a lot of fun. Except for me. Another little known Glenn fact, I used to ride horses competitively as a young boy. I went to a horseback riding camp. That was a lot of fun, and I even got a few ribbons from the competitions, if you can believe that. All right.
I actually don't believe it. Yeah, you and sports don't mix.
I don't know if it's much as sports as sitting on the horse and trying not to fall off while it does its work. That being said, I think I got thrown off a horse more than pretty much anybody else. And one time, the horse even just sat down and rolled right on top of me. So I guess I was doing something wrong there.
Yeah. All right. Well, I don't think Athens or Greece is known for their horse breeding, but if you want to go there, it's next on our list. You want to go there?
Yeah, I definitely do, because I'm looking for a place to get some good Greek food, and I would think Athens might have a place for it. I want perfect olive. Tell me how I could find it. Where do I have to go?
Yeah, number five on the list is the Royal Villa at the Grand Resort Luganosi. And it's again $50,000 a night to stay in this lap of luxury resort and suite. And the price is based on application. So even that $50,000 might not be $50,000. If you're me, they might ask you to pay $150,000, so they keep me out of there. But
they would only have to ask you to pay $50. Plenty enough to keep you out of there.
Mel Gibson, Leonardo DiCaprio, obviously they have the correct coin, and they've stayed there. But it's got 2 master bedrooms, complete with in-suite marble bathrooms, indoor-outdoor pools. Sounds like pretty much the best place to stay in all of Athens.
Well, I would hope so, but what if I don't want to go to Greece? What if I, feel like going to Cannes or Cannes or whatever they're talking about it this week, and, music, it's movie festival time, and I need to, roll. Where would I want to stay there?
Yeah, well, I think that you're probably going to be out of luck, because I would imagine this place, number 6 on the list, is booked out for the film festival.
Dang it!
But the penthouse suite at the Grand Hyatt Cannes Hotel in Martinez. French, Italian, however they pronounce it, Cannes. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that is part of the Hyatt Hotels chain, and this Art Deco hotel on the Boulevard de la Croisette was opened in 1929, and the 7th floor location commands stunning views over the bay. And hey, this is a bargain so far on the list. It's going to set you back about $40,000 a night.
Yeah, and the good thing about this list is the longer you guys listen, the cheaper the rooms are getting, because we're doing this list in the backwards kind of a way, which is really, I would think, kind of a foolish way to do this. But I will say, Jeff, we've been to Cannes, and when the film festival's not there, not as exciting as I thought it would be, based on all of the fame and press that it's gotten over the years.
No, it actually, I think we were there a couple weeks after the Monaco Grand Prix, so we were there kind of summertime-ish. And it was honestly kind of a sleepy little town. I think everything kind of shut down at about 9 o'clock. And you and I went into a casino, and, it was less than a quarter full. And obviously there were some vacationers, but it wasn't the thriving spot that I always thought it was. But it was still very beautiful and access to just amazing, spectacular places.
And the funniest thing I ever saw was a no-smoking casino, but they had these little pods that you could go step in that was like a phone booth, and you could go smoke in the phone booth kind of a thing. Do you remember those? That was pretty funny.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can't be in France and completely outlaw smoking. Right. You'd have absolute riots in the streets.
I know. People would be hitting you with baguettes all the time. It'd be terrible.
It would be Bastille Day all over again.
All right, for sure. We still got a bunch of these to go through. We're starting to run a little bit low on time. Why don't you give me a couple of the highlights that you see on the list?
All right. So we're winding down, and we're getting cheaper as we go. So this is the more important thing. In case you didn't want to spend, $60,000 a night, you can. We're getting down to like $35,000 a night.
That's downright
and
affordable.
Lower. Totally. So the Royal Suite at the St. Regis in UAE, in the United Arab Emirates, that Royal Suite will only set you back about $35,000 a night. But hey, it's 2,100 square meters of space with ocean views abound. So That's pretty awesome.
When they say it abounds, then that's worth $10,000 right there.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, number 9, a place in the U.S. and not in New York, the Palms Casino Resort in Las Vegas. And I guess they have a suite there that's only, about $30,000 a night. Which,
they've got several of those high-end specialty suites. They had the former Playboy suite, which has got this great little pool that kind of hangs out over the side of the building. They've got one that's got the basketball courts in it. They've got one with a bowling alley in it. So lots of cool, funky, incredible stuff. And again, something I'll probably never see.
Yeah. So rounding out the list, we've got the Presidential Suite Mandarin Oriental in Shanghai. That comes in at a cool $30,000 a night or so, which if you're in Shanghai, you can look like the baller that you are. The Penthouse Suite in the Hotel Cala de Volpe in Porto Carvo, Italy. Again, $30,000 a night. We're getting serious bargains here. I mean,
I know. I'm packing my bags right now, Jeff.
We got the Royal Penthouse in the Corinthia Hotel in London, and I haven't been to London in a while. But if I'm gonna go, $28,000 a night. I'm seriously considering that one.
Well, and, I'll consider it if they throw in some fish and chips. Other than that, no way.
Maybe some Marmite.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Good thinking.
And I'm going to go with the last one, which is in Paris, because, tried to cover all the world. And the Royal Suite Hotel at the Hotel Plaza Athene. And it's about $25,000 a night. And it's decorated in French Regency style with silk and damask and gold thread embroidery. $25,000 a night. I mean, why would you want to spend any less or more? I mean, that's like my sweet spot.
I know. It's a total bargain. Unfortunately, not my aesthetic at all. Totally old world Paris type of look to it, which I get. It's not necessarily for me. But with 4 bedrooms, doesn't matter. I can bring 3 of my friends that absolutely love the look and feel of this place, and we'll all be happy standing outside looking at the Eiffel Tower.
One of them is assured to like it, and it's only $62.50 a person.
Wow, that's I'm amazed that you could do math that quick, actually. So, Jeff,
I had my iPhone calculator
open, and a team of people working for the hour before this call to figure that out. All right, but Jeff, what is the most expensive hotel you've ever stayed within?
So, most expensive hotel I've ever stayed at has to be the Jumeirah Essex House in New York, right on Central Park. And the most amazing thing I thought about it is because I've, had a lot of friends in New York, and I've been to a lot of their apartments, and I immediately walk into this hotel, this room, and it was bigger than your average apartment in Orlando, Florida. And it just,
wow,
it dwarfed. Like, it made my friends' New York City apartments look like they were, 4x4 jail cells. It was massively huge.
Well, just so you know, my apartment at 90th and 3rd was actually a 4x4 jail cell.
I'm sure. The most amazing thing about it is because as I'm sure all of us business travels do in New York, I literally barely spent any time in that room whatsoever. I mean, I was in and out, business meetings all day, cocktails, dinner, parties all night, and honestly, the last night I had an early flight and I didn't even sleep in the room. I packed my bag and went to the flight. So
how painful, but isn't that the way? I mean, as much as I love a nice, fancy, large, expensive hotel room, I find it's not necessarily worth it all the time because of the little time that I've spent in there. I've spent some time in amazing, amazing suites in Las Vegas, for example. I had one at the Tropicana Casino that I swear was about half the top floor of the main tower, right?
Yeah, I remember that.
I was hardly in that place. I've had suites like that at Hotel 32, which is the rooftop hotel at Monte Carlo, which is going to be changing soon. I've had an amazing suite over at Planet Hollywood that had a pool table that had all sorts of TVs, all sorts of great things. And then you find you want to stay in the room, but we're always so busy we never get a chance to spend some time in there. So I'm thinking maybe one day we all put our money together and just spend a weekend in a room and never leave that room and try to have ourselves some fun.
Yeah, well, if you spend the right amount of change, you don't have to leave the room. You could literally have everything delivered to you.
That's a great idea. Any final thoughts on hotel rooms there, Jeff?
Final thoughts. I will never, ever, ever, ever be able to afford any one of these hotels, but I thought it was a good list. I do, however, in my extreme limited budget, enjoy spending, I would say, more than the average American on a good hotel because I've definitely learned the value of staying in some nicer places when I'm going to actually use the amenities that are provided.
Yeah, and I love, I'll be happy to spend a little bit more money if, we're going away for a brainstorming weekend or something. We're going to be spending a lot of time in the room. Also, I love the balcony. I'll pay extra for the balconies in the room. But overall, I just want a clean, comfortable experience. I don't need to worry about all this frou-frou stuff. That being said, if I had the kind of money, I'd probably wind up spending the kind of money and get used to that lifestyle pretty darn quick. But I don't think I'm going to become an Arab sheik anytime soon or a Silicon Valley multi-billionaire, so I don't think it's going to happen.
You got your lotto tickets ready?
No, I didn't even buy any lotto tickets this week. Damn, that's always... Yeah.
You can't win if you don't play.
I know. They keep telling me you got to be in it to win it. But I keep screwing the most basic things up when it comes to these lotteries. I don't know. What do I know? I want you guys to tell me, are you going to be staying in one of these hotels anytime soon? Is a super expensive hotel experience something that you crave, something that you dream of, or something that you hope to just aspire to one day in your life? Drop me a line at Traveling Glenn on Twitter, on Instagram, or send me an email, glenn@rouse.media. That's ROUSE.media. Don't forget, Glenn has two N's. Bruce Ford, that one's going out to you right there. Any final thoughts? How can we find you, Jeff?
Is this second final thoughts, I guess?
Well, give yourself a plug, baby.
Plug. Endpoint Multimedia. If your company or your hotel needs a good creative video or marketing campaign, we can help you out, hopefully. That's about it. You can find us on social media and website and whatnot.
Great. And as you know, Jeff produces the show, and I partner with Jeff on some great video projects out there. So if you're looking to shake things up, give us a ring, give us a call, and I want to thank you guys for listening today, and we're going to be right back after this message from Kevin Barry Fine Art. Go to kevinbarryfineart.com, and then stick around and hear this amazing interview I did just this morning with Dorothy Dowling, Chief Marketing Officer of Best Western. So strange to actually record and post a show in the same day, but I'm excited to do it. And we will be right back after this message. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Have a question for your host, Glenn? Tweet him now at Traveling Glenn. No Vacancy, the hospitality industry's #1 podcast. We'll be right back.
Hey everybody, Glenn here. And if you're like me, then I know that you love terrific art. Art that creates a sense of place. Art that tells a story of where you are. Art that adds a level of detail that you can't get anywhere else. And great folks that do this, Kevin Barry Fine Art Associates. You can find them online at kevinbarryfineart.com, and I highly encourage that you check them out. One recent project that I'm totally in love with is the Fairmont, Washington, D.C., where they created a custom project with a local artist, and they created some of this on site. They actually created a multi-dimensional wall sculpture from gold blocks, which is an abstracted map grid of the Washington, D.C. area. It's got different elevations to it and looks absolutely fantastic. It was done along with Deborah Forrest and Amanda Jackson of Forrest Perkins, which is now Perkins Eastman. And they all work together to create this fabulous new look. So if you want to create a fabulous new look for your hotel, or if you just love great art, check out kevinbarryfineart.com or give him a call at 310-945-2655. Let him know Glenn sent you.
Back to the show. It's No Vacancy, the hospitality industry's #1 podcast with your host, Glenn Hausman.
All right, so you guys listen to the show. You know me. You know I love Las Vegas. I go there so often that sometimes it drives me a little bit cuckoo-paducoo. But one of the things that I do really like doing is having a few days to spend at a resort. And, I'm thinking I may have to go back and check out the Stratosphere Las Vegas these days again, because one of my favorite hotel companies, Best Western, is now affiliating with Stratosphere to be part of their soft brand collection, the Premier Collection, BW Premier. And I've got with me the one, the only, Dorothy Dowling. She's the Chief Marketing Officer with Best Western. We're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about a lot of other fun things, but mostly I think we're going to talk about my love for peel and eat shrimp. Dorothy, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Glenn. It's delightful to be here with you.
Thanks for being here with me on Shrimpin' with Glenn. So I want to talk all about peel and eat shrimp and how I'm going to be getting them at the Stratosphere all the time. I know this is not an issue that's important to you. You're worried about marketing and all of that kind of stuff. So for all joking aside, how exciting is this for you to be pulling Stratosphere into your family here?
Yeah, we're very excited to have both the Stratosphere and the Aquarius join Best Western as part of our Premier Collection.
Right. Now, I say Stratosphere, but let me throw out the love for Aquarius, also owned by American Casino Entertainment Properties.
Yeah, we're delighted to have both of them. And, from the seat that I sit in, Glenn, it's really powerful to have both of those hotels join our brand because of the kind of value proposition it will extend to a lot of our loyalty members from a redemption perspective, and also from an opportunity for them to earn points at both the Stratosphere and Aquarius going forward.
Yeah, and that's really what it's about, is being able to use your points in a way that you want to use that. And that's one of the things that we're going to talk about today. You've done a lot of time and a lot of effort over the years reinventing the rewards program called Best Western Rewards. I think that was one of your more notable accomplishments earlier on in your tenure with Best Westerns. And you continue to hone it. You continue to tweak it. And what are guests, do you think, looking for these days when it comes to a rewards program? And how does Stratosphere really symbolize that kind of thing that guests are looking for?
Well, you're right, Glenn. We've constantly been evolving our loyalty program. We try to really spend time listening to the voice of the customer and responding to the kinds of things that they share with us. This year, because we were going under a major refresh of our program, we did work with the U.S. News & World Report to really dive in and learn from the customers through a third party what was really important. So you are hitting absolutely on the most important reason why customers join. It was something we always knew. It was good to have it reaffirmed through U.S. News & World Report that earning free nights and not having those points expire, and Best Western is the only brand that doesn't expire points, are the two most things that they associate with loyalty programs. They want to play with loyalty programs because they want to accrue points that they can use to redeem for free nights. And the most frustrating thing that the guests told us through the research that was done is when hotel brands expire those points, because they view them as currency and something that they want to continue to build equity with to be able to achieve the kinds of redemptions that they're looking for.
Yeah, there's nothing I hate more than wanting to do that family vacation, and you spend all that time on the road doing your job, hoping to get that reward at the end, and then find out, oops, I'm just a little too late. My points have gone bye-bye. That's I would think as a customer, that would probably turn me off to the brand and might actually make me want to go elsewhere as opposed to sticking with it after putting in all that hard work and losing those points.
Well, and you're exactly right, Glenn. I think that there's a lot of people that are just like you, that they have an aspirational dream of how they want to use their points. Typically it is on some kind of a vacation or a getaway, and if they spend sometimes a couple of years really trying to build that equity to be able to take that vacation, and if those points are no longer valid, it does create, and that's what the customers told us. That was their highest frustration point. So we've never had points expire. It's a cost that we have chosen to bear in our program, because at Best Western we have really tried to be focused on that customer and understand what's really important to them and ensure that we're delivering on those expectations. One of the things that I like to think about our program is that we try to be very authentic in terms of recognizing what customers want. And I think quite often what happens in the loyalty space is that brands are constantly looking at the cost associated with supporting those programs. They're constantly evolving how to tweak those programs to reward their most important customers, which we all understand are really important to the brand health. But at the end of the day, those customers that are in the middle group or in the lower group that only give you a few nights a year, it takes them longer to get to that level of redemption. And those are the customers that would be penalized on point expiration. We are a brand that really values that leisure customer. We want to continue to grow our relationships with those leisure customers, so we want to make sure that they understand that they are highly valued by us as a brand.
Yeah, and there's no way to do it. And I've seen some of the changes that have been happening that seem to be going the opposite way that you're doing in the airline business, for example. The airline that I fly by choice, a couple of years ago, they switched from earning points per mile per dollar spent. And I came away feeling very negative from the experience because I felt like they were punishing me for not traveling last minute and as often as certain business travelers do. And, hey, I already know I have to go to the lodging conference at the end of October. I should be able to buy my ticket now and not have to worry about being penalized for that. So I love what you're saying. I can earn my points. I could keep them. If I travel half as much as the guy down the street, at least I know that, in 2018, we can both take the same vacation in the same type of place for our points that we've accrued over time, even if it takes me a little bit longer. One of the things that I find interesting here is that 86% of respondents that you had in this survey that you did with U.S. News and World Report about free nights is that 86% want to use them to book hotel stays. That's a pretty significant number, and they say 63% agree that the free night redemption is the most appealing loyalty program feature. That makes sense to me. What are the other 14% thinking? What are they using their points for in a more important way than staying for free?
Yeah, so you're absolutely right, Glenn, in terms of that's what the research supported, and that traditionally has been our redemption patterns in terms of looking at how people use their points. The people that are very frequent stayers, like me, I spend about 200 nights away a year.
Oh, and by the way, thanks for shaming me because I'm only doing 100 plus, and I don't even know how you do it. How do you? I got to do a whole show with you on keeping alive while in the road 200 nights a year, but it's insane.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said about that. I think that whole travel well and happy evolution in terms of travel is really getting a lot of traction, but. With the very, very frequent travelers, what we see with them, that 14%, and in fact in a redemption, it is a little bit higher than that we see that pattern. They're choosing to use their points for gift cards, and we have a very robust gift card framework, Amazon, Walmart, and Home Depot are always big redemption partners for us.
Yes.
But we have a cascade of partners, iTunes and many others, and there are differences based on different regions of North America and the rest of the world, and also there are differences generationally in terms of how people use gift cards. But typically that heavy road traveler, we see a tremendous influx at the holiday season where people are redeeming either to gift or to use themselves to buy gifts. But that is where we see the other major redemption for those very, very frequent travelers.
Well, as a frequent traveler, I am saving up right now, actually, for a gift card because I would like to go to a Home Depot. My wife is dying for a new front door, and I refuse to actually pay cash for it. So this is a great way for us to give her something that she likes while I'm being productive on the road. So that kind of stuff is a win-win. And I'm hoping when we do get this door that, she'll stop complaining about the door that we have now because she really hates it. So I guess I have to get some more jobs and travel some more.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that, Glenn, because I remember a couple of years ago one of our very high-level elite customers of Best Western Rewards sent me a picture because he actually redeemed for $6,300 worth of Home Depot gift cards, and he bought the jacuzzi that he wanted for his backyard. So he sent me that picture. So there are others here in good company for folks that are looking to use those for practical or maybe dream items that they have on their wish list.
I like that. Of course, the irony is he put in the jacuzzi and he's always on the road and can never enjoy the jacuzzi. But at least he has pictures of his jacuzzi to cuddle up with on those airplane rides or driving from place to place wherever he goes. So, we talked about guests and stuff like that, but one of the things that you do is marketing. And I'm noticing big shifts that have happened over the number of years in the way that we really need to connect with customers. A lot of hotel brands out there are still doing the same things over and over and over again, and I don't see that they're really connecting with guests in a meaningful kind of way. You folks are doing stuff a little bit different. You're doing some interesting partnerships. I was hoping to talk to you a little bit about what your thoughts are about the state of marketing today and how you feel it's best to connect with that end user.
Well, you're right, Glenn. The state of marketing is it's really facing unprecedented change. I've been in the category marketing for 35 years, and I've never seen anything like it in my career, particularly the last 3 years in terms of the number of shelves that you need to be on to be able to be where the customer wants to make that purchase decision, and then to also recognize what's important to all the different types of customers that are out there. The conversation around big data is really here. There's a lot of conversations about some of the major media companies, Facebook, Amazon, Google, and Netflix, because of the kind of data that they have on customers and what the next major disruption will be as a result of what they can bring to the marketing mix. But for us today, I think we're in a much better position than we have been historically because of the kind of feedback mechanisms through social, with the guest satisfaction surveys that we're constantly doing, that we're able to hear from the customer on a daily basis and make adjustments and understand what's important to them, to hopefully care for them on anything that is important that we might not have addressed as well as we could have while they're on property. All of those kinds of things have become in-the-moment kinds of experiences that we can address. So as a marketer, I think we're in a better position to really respond to customers. On the other hand, we have a lot of data, and it becomes difficult to be able to aggregate all that data, make sense of it, and then actually be very responsive to that customer. So that's part of the challenge. And I think the other challenge really is that as Google has evolved, as Facebook has evolved, some of our other partners, that they're constantly iterating in terms of how we need to partner with them, what kind of dollars we have to invest with them. That puts a lot of pressure on budgets, and so it's always around how do you optimize your spend and really drive to the best kinds of outcomes for the hotel community that you represent.
It sounds to me like you've really got to be very focused on a lot of different things, where back in the day, let's say even the first day that you walked into Best Western, where it was still a world of, hey, let's advertise in USA Today and put some spots on a couple of the major networks, and then you could kind of be like, okay, done, maybe throw in a couple of magazines there. But now all the traditional ways of doing things have completely changed. What are some of the ways that you're looking at doing stuff now, and how do you make sure that you're keeping yourself sharp and on the cutting edge of all the marketing techniques that are out there?
Well, from my point of view, the way I try to stay on top of the current landscape is I really am heavily vested in a lot of the partner relationships that we have cultivated over the years.
Such as like with AAA, those kind of relationships?
AAA, Google, Facebook, a lot of our media partners like Disney and others, because they help us understand their audience and they help us understand how they're evolving their business models so that we can hopefully anticipate how we have to work with them to make sure that we're getting our share of voice across their channel and that we're representing ourselves effectively on that channel. So the kind of data and insights that they share with us are incredibly powerful. And the other piece to me is that from a customer point of view, I think everyone today is overwhelmed with the kind of information and solicitations that they get. So with us, in terms of participating with our partners and having them as an endorsed agent in terms of how that information may be presented to the customer, that helps us drive better outcomes through their channels. So to me, there's a lot of traditional ways of thinking in terms of really continuing to invest in relationships. But I think the other part is really trying to be a constant student of the game, learn how the business environment is evolving and shifting, understanding what's important to the partner because they're obviously monetizing for their shareholders, and so that we can somehow really align with them to make sure that we can get mutual outcomes that are desirable for both of us.
Right. And it seems to me when you're talking about these mutual outcomes for both of you, you're looking to partner with brands where the customers of those brands have that same sort of psychological profile as the type of people, the psychographic profile of the type of people that want to stay in any of the Best Western family of properties that you have. And which brings me back to the Disney aspect of it. I find that to be a real interesting relationship. I want to say it's been like at least 5 or 6 years now that you've worked with them on an annual summer promotion. Am I right about that time frame?
We've been with Disney for 10 years.
10 years. I'm at the age now, Dorothy, where I've got to start saying if I think it's 5 years, I got to double it. It goes so fast.
Yeah.
10 years.
I get it.
Wow. That's amazing. So tell me a little bit about that partnership and why you feel it's so successful. I find it very interesting. One of my first memories that I have of your partnership with them that I thought was very clever was, now this I'm going to say is 4 or 5 years ago, and I really mean 4 or 5 years ago, where you had these displays of whoever the teenager was in that summer movie. I think it may have been like Beach Party something or something, and you put your camera up to there, and you would take a picture and it would like have virtual reality type of stuff mixed in with the photograph. I thought that was really fun, really clever. I think the picture moved and stuff like that. So that was a neat way to get people to get engaged with the brand in a pretty easy way in the hotel lobby.
Yeah, so we have continued to iterate with Disney on the same kind of thing that we did with them several years ago. We actually started in augmented reality. We evolved that to virtual reality as that landscape shifted. This year we actually did something very similar with Snapchat where people could actually use some of the emojis from the Disney Descendant movie, and of course similarly how the children could actually get a proprietary kind of emoji experience through Disney through Snapchat. And we did that a little bit differently at our properties through window clings that obviously individuals would be taking an image of that would transport them into that emoji space. But for us, the partnership with Disney is really important for us in a couple of ways. One is that families have always been a very important market for Best Western, and children are very influential, as you well know. I know you have twins, but they very much influence parental decision-making. And to work with someone like Disney, because of all of the different rules of engagement in terms of television advertising to young people, you have to invest with a partner, and you have to understand how that works in their world, and then look at all of the integrations that they can bring across the various platforms. So when we look at Disney, they also have very traditional commercial networks as part of the Disney Network group, and so we do consolidated advertising across all of their network elements. But we also are doing very proprietary work on the Disney network because we know we get dramatic amounts of co-viewership with parents, and particularly with mothers. And as you know, 80% or more of decisions are made by the female CEO of the household.
Right.
And so we want to be speaking to them, and we also want to be speaking to them in a way that matters, which typically is through their eyes of their children.
Right. Or
So
in
that's
my house, 100% of decisions are made by the female CEO of the household. Here.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. So that's what the power of Disney has done for us. It's allowed us to leverage different ways of touching audiences in ways that matter and some of that commercial value back to our hotels. So Disney has been an important partner for us, and also they've allowed us to co-innovate with them on a lot of different social media aspects, mobile media aspects, and others. So they bring that entire platform of what Disney is engaged with to us so that we can look across all of those opportunities and say, how does this tie to how we monetize our business so that we can make some really good decisions together.
When it comes to doing some of these cutting edge techniques, how do you enter it? Do you go like, well, we hope, we hope it'll get X results, but if it gets Y results, we'll be happy anyway because it's something new and unproven? Because a lot of these things in technology, you don't have a lot of historical data. Like we could look back 20 years on TV advertising, but we can't do that with Snapchat.
Yeah, no, that's a really good question, Glenn. And so, again, that's when we lean into partners in terms of what some of their engagement numbers look like because they understand their audiences. But I would tell you last year when we did the virtual reality program with Disney, they said that it was their number one promotion partnership that they had ever seen.
Wow.
But it is because we invest together and we look at some of these things and they bring a lot of intelligence to the table. The recommendations that they bring are always based in that intelligence, and we then work on something that we think will be very engaging to the families that are visiting our properties, and it's something that's very unique that they can only get through the partnership. So that's to me what partners do for each other, is that they look on what's important to each other and they try to establish that area of mutuality that is beneficial to both parties.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. And speaking about beneficial for both parties, I think there's another partnership that you have in the strategic partnership world that I think is absolutely brilliant. That's your partnership with Harley Davidson. I find that interesting. It really cuts to a very specific psychographic again. You totally understand that audience. It fits in well with the road traveler, leisure traveler type of audience for the best Western hotel brands. And you even have the You Must Be Tripping consumer-focused blog website, and you have a writer geared towards that motorcycle lifestyle. So I think it's pretty neat how you're bringing it all kind of full circle there.
Well, thank you, Glenn. I would tell you again, Harley has been a long-term partner for us, and that was, again, born by, I think, some very pragmatic data in that when you look at the 2,100 hotels that we have in North America, we have more hotels on highways and byways, I think, than most brands. And so it is really looking at partners that are going to be able to drive the kind of business outcomes that are important to our hotels. So, 80% of travelers in North America still come by car, but there is a very avid membership group within Harley Davidson called the Harley Owners Group, HOG. And those individuals spend a lot of time traveling. There's 100 bucket list motorcycle rides that apparently every Harley Davidson owner wants to engage with.
Right.
And so we try to work with them to really showcase our hotels that are around those kinds of ride destinations that people want to be part of. And then we also look for ways to work with them through their Harley Owners Group to really tell them about our Harley Friendly program, which again is really basic things, but it's having wipe down rags and other things for those Harley owners, because when they come, that bike is a fairly expensive investment that they've made, and they want to take care of it as they travel on these road trips.
Right. Yeah, my wife likes to use wipe down rags on me after being out on a trip. That's for sure. So I totally get where that's coming from. All right. The other thing that I think is really cool, Dorothy, is you work with minor league baseball as well. And I know you're a big, I feel like I know a lot about this company because I've been to your annual conference for so many years. So forgive me for speaking for you. But I love that your partnership with minor league baseball, because you understand that while television viewing habits are shifting, it's about live television right now. now. So you do this every spring with Major League Baseball, I think before the season starts, and then minor league baseball during the season. Is that correct?
Yeah, actually, we buy Major League Baseball throughout the season,
cool.
but we do a very
you do the whole
heavy
sponsoring thing early on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and again, that's the pragmatic
Yeah.
nature of understanding that there are a lot of baseball stadiums that are part of every community, and it's part of many people's travel plans in the summer. And it's also part of that whole dimension of family group travel, which is an important part of our business. But we do, again, work with partners that represent the kind of audience demographics. We are very interested in the Hispanic market in the United States in particular because of its size and its growth trajectory. And again, baseball leans into that market in a very significant way, fundamentally because a lot of the baseball stars come from Latin America, and they have very high profiles in North America in general, but also just because, again, the fan base really loves that game. We like baseball because it appeals to all segments, men, women, gives us a lot of Hispanic exposure, and it really drives to when that summer season, which is so important for our hotels, to really activate and make sure that they sell as many of their rooms as they can through the season.
Yeah, and that's pretty cool. And again, people are watching live television, and they're not going to skip over it as if they DVR'd a particular program, because they're going to be watching it live as opposed to watching something from last week. So that makes a lot of sense. Really smart. You had mentioned big data at this part of this conversation. How is interpreting big data going to allow you perhaps to connect on a more granular level, more like one-on-one with customers? Because I really feel like that's where we're going. For someone who's so far ahead of the marketing curve, I bet you're thinking about that kind of stuff as well.
Yeah, the one-on-one marketing that everyone has been speaking about for quite a period of time is really where we all are looking to the future. I think we're more in a one-to-some frame today, which I still think provides highly relevant capabilities to speak to users based on the kind of behavioral insights that we have relative to their stay patterns, their booking patterns, and it also allows us to leverage partners like Facebook and others, because to me, one of the bigger terms that we're all using in the marketing space are lookalikes and bookalikes.
Right.
And your ability to be able to find lookalike customers that are staying with you or are part of your loyalty program, and then also to be able to go into a number of platforms and say, these are the folks that are booking this kind of experience, and find bookalike partners in the competitive space, and then being able to put an offer in front of those customers is really where we are at today. I think many of us are waiting for some of the major CRM providers.
Right.
Like I said, Facebook is already way ahead of that curve, as is Google. But as Netflix and Amazon continue to evolve their media products, I think they will also be providing us with that kind of capabilities to look for those lookalike and bookalike customers.
That's cool.
And hopefully be able to secure business through them.
Next time you're talking with them, could you tell them to stop serving me up ads for a hotel after I've booked that hotel? which would be great, because I think it's wasting your money, it's wasting my time, and I think instead, how about, hey, if I already booked a place at the Best Western, I don't know, Orlando East, I'm making that up, maybe start pitching me some ideas in Orlando instead. But I'm just saying that. I don't know what I'm talking about. Dorothy, if you're looking for some lookalike bookers, being that I have the twins here, I got 2 lookalike bookers for you anytime you need them. All right?
That's very fun.
Yeah, before we wrap up, I would be remiss not to talk to you about how you see your role in the hospitality industry as a female executive. And I almost hate to have this kind of conversation because it's not a question I would ask of a male executive in your position. But at the same time, I figure if you've been in the business for 35 years, you've gone through stuff, you've reached a level of achievement that was probably a little bit harder than some of your male counterparts out there. So I'm curious as to how you see the state of women leadership in our business and where you think it's going from here, and maybe what you can do to help improve to level the playing field, not just for women, but from folks of all different backgrounds.
Yeah, so that is a question that I wish I had an answer to, Glenn, in terms of playbook. I don't think that there is a single playbook for any individual in terms of career mapping. I think that everyone makes their own choices, and there's opportunities that present themselves, and you have to take some of those measured risks. I've been really fortunate in my career because my husband has just been an amazing supporter of my career and has actually made choices to support my career that obviously didn't allow him to fulfill some of his career aspirations. Right. But what I would say overall, I just think the demographics are really setting up a pretty significant change in terms of how women will succeed in the environment, just because of the number of women that are in the labor force, the number of women that are achieving pretty significant educational achievements. And so I personally think that dynamic shift on the lower part of the funnel is going to continue to change things in the middle and the upper level of the funnels. But I fundamentally believe that the choice of being an executive is a very difficult choice. When you get, as that funnel narrows, it is about some of the trade-off choices that you have to make. And I look at my son, who's had a working mother and a stay-at-home father, so his life has been framed very differently than many of his cohorts. But so he sees the world somewhat differently. I do think that millennials as a whole see the world very differently in terms of gender and race and many other characterizations. So I don't think that they will carry some of the baggage potentially that my generation might have had. Right. But I do believe that the tough part is always comes down to as to whether you're willing to make that trade-off choice that I made, where my husband was at home with my son when I was on the road 100, 150, and now more nights. That's a hard choice to make, and everyone has to make that choice individually. There isn't a playbook to say what's right and what isn't for that person.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I spend a lot of time thinking about is I feel like women in the 70s and 80s were promised that they could have it all, right? The whole idea of, bring home the bacon, fry it up in the pan, blah, blah, blah. But I don't think anybody could have it all. And I think that's almost doing a disservice to people. And at least you're being realistic that you have to make choices here. Is that really the way? Am I seeing it right, or am I not seeing it right in the terms of that?
Well, that's the way that I see it, Glenn, is that there are very deliberate choices, and I think everyone has to make their own. This work-life balance conversation that has been around for, decades, I don't know that there is a work-life balance. I think it's about everyone making their own choices about
Except in France,
how they want to.
They seem to have that down pretty good.
I think in Europe overall.
Yeah.
But that is it's not a truth that I've ever been able to find. But I think that if you fundamentally love your work and that you're fulfilled in your work, then work in and of itself gives you so many intrinsic rewards that it isn't work in and of itself. So
absolutely,
that's where that challenge comes into play. But I do think that when you choose to move up the ladder, travel, hours of work, all of the kinds of commitments that you have to make, those are choices, and there are things that you give up as a result. And I always encourage people to make those choices with as much information as they possibly can and know what they may be giving up when they make those decisions.
And you are going to have to give up something. And I could say in my career, I've had to give up stuff. I'm not home as much as I'd like to be home, but in order for my kids to have the lifestyle that I'm trying to give them, I have to be out there working. I have to push it. But not only that, I think for you and for me, that's both a priority in our lives to feel that sense of achievement through our careers, and it's important to us. And I bet you're just not programmed to be that stay-at-home person. There's just no way, right?
It wasn't I could never have been that person, Glenn, and I was fortunate. My husband put his hand up and said, well, somebody's going to make those choices for my son, and he wanted to be that person.
That's amazing.
It worked out in our family. So hopefully that works out in your family too, that you and your wife.
Yeah, it sort of works out. Yep. Fortunately, my kids are getting a little bit older right now, so if they're just semi-feral. That's okay. They can fend for themselves these days. But I think that's. Is there any advice that you could give men, women, anybody who are in the earlier parts of the career about how to make your way through those difficult decisions to make? Is it just an issue of figuring out what your ultimate goal is in life and then kind of go that way, or how did you come to these kind of conclusions, and what advice would you give?
Well, I think that everyone has to fundamentally know themselves in terms of what's important. So yes, I think, if your career is something that you're going to be very purposeful about and you have aspirations, I think you have to lean into people that can help guide some of that decision-making on what bets you have to take. But with regards to overall the kinds of advice that I give some of the younger people that join our company, there's two pieces of advice that I always tell them. One is you have to commit to be a constant student, and that student of the game is, to me, one of the most important things in terms of starting every day with investing in yourself from a learning perspective. And the second is I always talk about relationships are the currency of life, and you have to invest in your network because those are the individuals that will constantly help you make good decisions. They will always have you in their mind as they're coaching and developing and offering kinds of alternatives. They're people that sustain you when you have difficult times, and they're also people that celebrate with you when you have things that matter. And so I always tell people those are the two lessons that for me I wish I had learned in my 20s. I didn't learn some of those until my late 30s, but they are things that for me have been the most important lessons that I've taken away in my career thus far.
Excellent. So then I got to ask you a last question. What's the last thing that you learned that you felt was relevant to your life as a marketing person?
Wow. Okay. So what did I learn? I would say yesterday, because every day I try to start my day with a TED Talk. So yesterday I was looking at some of the conversations around loyalty programs as part of ecosystems. So is it going to really be sort of the aggregators that are going to win in this space versus individual brands? And I would tell you that there was a lot of good information about that, but there was no definitive answer as to who's going to win, other than we have to be mindful that the aggregators have a lot of extra points on their side today. So the Amazons, the OTAs, the Googles, and others. So for us, we have an ecosystem of 10 brands at Best Western. We certainly don't have what Marriott has at 30, but
that's okay. I bet that you could name all your brands and they can't. So, ha-ha.
Thank you, Glenn. But I think, to me, the lesson I took away is you better be thinking about marketing as an ecosystem brand, and you better be thinking about it as an individual brand, because the jury's still out if there's going to be a winner there.
Yep. Makes perfect sense. Any final thoughts, any pearls of wisdom that we missed?
No, I just like to thank you, Glenn. You're one of the relationships that I've treasured over the years, so I feel very fortunate to have had this opportunity to speak with you today.
Thanks so much. And I feel very fortunate to have such a great relationship with you guys. And I could, I think we could probably continue this snuggle fest now for the next hour or so, but we'll spare the listening audience from all of our mutual love. And I want to thank you for being here, Dorothy. And I want to thank everybody for listening to another exciting episode of our No Vacancy podcast. And I will be back next week. That is, unless I decide to find myself a Harley and go check out some of those back roads and stay at all the Best Westerns. See you guys next week.
Thanks so much for listening to No Vacancy, the hospitality industry's #1 podcast, with your host, Glenn Hausman, online at rouse.media, on Twitter at Traveling Glenn, and on Facebook.com/Glenn.Hausman. We'll catch you next time.